Breaking news from South Africa this morning as OFN forces have commenced combat operations against the Africa Shield. Named Operation Brush Fire, the operation began with aircraft from the U.S. Navy bombing strategic locations behind the Shield's lines. These were followed up with amphibious landings in East London, Cape Town, and Chongo. The United States was joined by Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, Brazilian, but most surprisingly Iberian Union forces. Although not a member of the OFN, the Iberian Union offered their aid, which was happily accepted. Currently, the OFN have secured a wide beachhead as they prepare to further drive towards the borders of the Reichskommissariats. Supreme Allied Commander Chuck Tamzarian, in a press conference, stated that the initial landings met resistance, but casualties were minimal. Furthermore, he stated that OFN forces will drive the forces of the Shield back to their borders, with potentially crossing to dismantle the regimes. From the front lines, our regional correspondent Jim Rawlings has more.
From first light, the crew of the USS Kitty Hawk have been hard at work launching strike aircraft off the coast of South Africa. Their target? Military installations and units of the Africa Shield invading South Africa. Early in the morning, Allied forces landed at 3 beaches, south of the city of Chongo, at the capital Cape Town, and the besieged Port London. Following landings, forces pushed inland, established a fortified beachhead, and liberated Chongo completely. American B-52 and Canadian Canadair Vulcan bombers flew high-altitude strikes, while strike aircraft pursued the retreating Shield forces. Aiding Allied efforts was the adoption of the air cavalry, allowing OFN forces, primarily American and Australian, to cut off retreating forces. After the invasion, the OFN passed a resolution intent on driving the abandoned Reichskommissariats back to their borders and potentially dismantling the 3 to reorganize them as OFN protectorates. With civil war ongoing in the German Reich, the 3 states have lost their backing, and as the crimes committed come to light, the Nixon administration see it as the perfect time to free the African continent from the Nazis' iron grip. Back to you, Jim.
Only time will tell as the war continues. However, President Nixon is confident that OFN forces can bring the war to a close within a few months. However, despite the positive news for the OFN in Africa, news from the ongoing German Civil War are bleaker as Albert Speer's forces have reportedly surrendered as both the forces of Hermann Goering and Reinhard Heydrich move to take control of the Western Territory. Albert Speer is said to